Well, it's another day in Still River, and summer is here. The signs are everywhere, and some of the signs are, well, you have those evil mourning doves that show up outside your window at 5 a.m. and they start their cooing and billowing, and it's like you wake up, you look at the clock, it's 5 a.m., and you get up and you close your window you left open a little bit just so maybe it could deaden the sound. So you close it, but there's two of them up on the rain gutter by the window, and they've been going at it. And you go to the bathroom, you come back, and you try to get some sleep, and you turn over and you put the pillow on your head. But by then it's already ingrained in your mind, and even when they're not there, you still hear them. And finally, it gets to be 7 o'clock, and you get up. Well, the days of rain have come, and pretty much the carnival was mostly a washout for Memorial Day weekend and most of the week. And it's summer in Still River when lost people start showing up from everywhere, and different folks from around, not just the usual wanderers. Um, I was walking in the park last summer and I heard drumming, and there was a lost African drummer there with his djembe playing it, and he said he'd come out and play it just to get rid of angst. And he said that he had come over from Ghana, saved up from Ghana, and came over here to a acquaintance's house, some acquaintance of his family who runs the African collectible gift shop in town, and he's staying with them. And he had a letter from the University of Chicago inviting him over. They were starting uh, uh, an African cultural program there, and he was supposed to go and teach, African drumming and African culture. But when he got over here, he got a call and another letter from the university saying the program has been canceled due to budgetary cuts and that they weren't going to be needing him. So here he was stuck over here working in a gift shop. And another fellow, 3 or 4 years, he would show up. This little, uh, thin, older fellow, senior, would show up and walk into the park with his chessboard and sit down. And I went over to him and bought him a coffee. And we played chess, and he taught me how to play a little bit. And he was very good. And he was unusual too. I didn't know much about him. I didn't want to pry. And every summer he would tell me his name differently. One summer it was Henry, another summer it was Jesse, another summer it was William. And he would show up. And once, the last summer he was there, you know, uh, one day I came to the park and he wasn't there. And there was this crumpled up little envelope stuck under the windshield wiper of my car at the park there in the parking lot. And it had $1 in it, and it said thanks for the coffee and the wonderful chess games, uh, Henry. And well, we had uh, a polka bus broke down in the mall parking lot. This was an excursion up from some town near Washington D.C. They were going up to either Vermont or New Hampshire, a town either named Warsaw, which was kind of funny, to a, a polka uh, festival. and the bus broke down in the lot, and the bus driver opened the back where the engine was and said, "Well, got to order the part. They're going to bring it. It's going to be at least 4 hours before we can get going again." So they brought out their picnic tables and chairs, older women and men, and brought out a grill and packed food. They had kibasi and all that kind of stuff, and grilled pierogies, which were dynamite. I went over to see them, and the polka band set up a little half circle there, and they were going through their polka music they were going to play at the festival. And another busload showed up a couple years ago of Japanese tourists, I think. They were coming from New York, and they were heading up to the town park at Still River, and uh, and I asked him, "Where you going?" He said, "Lake Hendawood." And I said, "Why would you want to go to the Still River Town Park?" He said, "Oh, wonderful tourist area, wonderful park." I'm there. I was surprised. I didn't believe that, because nobody, for years and years, at least 2 to 3 decades, you go by the town park in the summer, you would see a few people, some families, but nothing like the early days where, there'd be just crowds and crowds of kids and hot dog stands and music playing through the loudspeakers and people jumping off the high dive and shoot. And those days are long, long gone. And the Aryan Singing Society is having its picnic at the park, and a little ways over is the Polish American Club picnic. So you get, if you stand in the right spot in between them, you get oompa music from one side and polka music, Polish polka, from the other, and it's kind of like it has an Ivesian effect. It's like, Ives is like the favorite son composer of Still River, and it's kind of like a music symphony he did called Fourth of July, where these two bands are practicing their music and they're marching by each other. It's sort of Ivesian like that. So they're having their picnic, and Tuesday nights is the endless pasta dinner at the Italian American Society, and in the early '60s, one day a fellow showed up in town. He drove a great big dark gray Ford Victoria, and he wore a gray suit with a white shirt and wore a hat, fedora. And he went to the Still River Diner, sat down, ordered coffee and pie, and and you know, uh, John Michelizzi, who ran the diner, asked his name. He said, "John Gabriel." And he says, "Where are you from?" He says, "Wyoming." And I said, "You're a long way from home." He goes, "Yeah, well, I had to come out here, lost work there, might have a job here." And he never said much. He would come in, have coffee, eat pie. Sometimes on a nice day, he would go out and sit on the bench by the intersection of Main Street, and it was a four-way intersection of Still River, read the paper for a while till lunchtime. Then we'd go back to Martha's apartments above Martha's diner, which was like a luncheonette, half sporting goods store where two brothers ran. One brother ran the sporting goods, mostly selling golf clubs and golf clothing and a few other tennis items, and then the luncheonette. His other brother ran on the other side. And John was in the diner one day, and he heard Wally Wojcinski talking with uh, Bob Carmignani, the mechanic, and Bob wanted to get his porch rebuilt. It had fallen apart, his front porch, the stairway to it. and he couldn't walk up because the stair is broke, So John heard them talking, and Wally said, "No, I can't come over and fix it for at least 2 to 3 weeks. I'm going fishing for 2 weeks on vacation." So John came over and said, "I can do carpentry work. You want your porch fixed? I can come over and do it for you." And he gave Bob a really good price, way cheaper than Bob thought he would have to pay, either for parts and labor and materials. And John came over first thing the next morning after coffee and fixed the porch in like 3 days. And Bob was impressed.